All right. So as I noted, we're talking about the HelpSpot MCP server that shipped in HelpSpot 5.8.0, which was just released this week, actually. And so if you are operating on a HelpSpot cloud instance that is already available to you, what we're looking at today is available today for you to start using. If you are on a self-hosted instance, you will have to upgrade to that version before you'll have the tools that we are looking at today available. So first off, before we dive into the feature itself, I just want to talk quickly about what MCP is for those that might be a little bit less familiar. So uh, basically what MCP is it stands for Model Context Protocol, and it's a standard way for AI agents to connect to tools and to use those tools. So HelpSpot ships with this built-in MCP server so that AI agents like Claude or ChatGPT, things like that, can interact with your help desk. So what that means is that you can talk to your AI assistant inside of the harness that you're using, and then the AI assistant can go out and work inside of Help Spot on your behalf. So it can manage requests, can manage knowledge bases, get reporting data for you, all those things on your behalf, and return results back to your harness of choice. So there are kind of four main capability areas that we have for HubSpot MCP today. First of all, you can manage requests. So you can find requests, view the requests, you can update them, change custom fields, do all of those kinds of things on requests. Second thing that the MCP service has available is that you can get aggregate data on requests. So this is things like volume of requests in specific criteria, requests over time, those types of things that are used for reporting and analysis usually. And then a third thing that we can do is that we can work with the knowledge bases. So we can search the existing knowledge bases that we have inside of HelpSpot, and then we can also edit and create new knowledge base pages, books, and chapters. So this can be really useful both for informing your AI agent about what is in your knowledge books, but also then expanding your knowledge books to have more data inside of it. So another thing to note with HelpSpot MCP, which is true for all MCP services, is when you connect multiple MCP services to one agent, such as Claude or OpenAI, those different MCP services can interact. So let's say maybe you have a separate bug tracker that you utilize. You can take a ticket from HelpSpot and then translate that into a bug tracker that you have elsewhere. Maybe it's Linear or GitHub or something like that, as long as you have a MCP server connected for both of those services. So that's another way to think about using MCP is to connect HubSpot to the rest of your business software that you have. All right, so I have a demo instance up here that is just populated with some fake sample data for a online store, and that's what we're going to be interacting with here today. But the first thing that I want to walk through is actually getting the MCP server turned on. So one thing to note is that the MCP server is turned off by default. So none of these features are just turned on automatically. You have to go in as an admin and turn them on for the first time. So I'm going to go over to the admin area and go to the settings area and then click on MCP. Now, I've already gone ahead and turned on my MCP server here, but in this case, you would just check this box and you would enable the MCP server. Let's talk through a couple of these other settings here as well. So the next setting here is actually not a setting, it's just a field that you copy. And this is the URL that we're going to use in order to connect our agent. I'm going to be demonstrating inside of Claude today, but there are a number of agents that support MCP. So I'm going to be using this URL in order to make my connection. The next field down here, oh, and one thing I should note is this link right here. This will open up a support chapter for you that has connection information for common clients. So as of today, we have documentation for Claude Desktop, Claude Code, and ChatGPT, and we will be adding more over time as well. So the next option down here is something that you shouldn't have to tweak in most cases, but it is a way to further restrict what agents are allowed to connect to the HelpSpot MCP server. So what this is allowed OAuth redirect domains, but what it doesn't affect is the URLs here that are listed are the only ones that can actually OAuth and authenticate with the MCP server. So if you have a company policy that say maybe you only allow use of Claude or you only allow the use of Copilot or something like that, you can remove all of these other agents that are available here and just allow the company blessed agent to connect. So that could be handy if you do have, company policies about using a particular harness. And then further down here, we have the available tools. We'll dig into this more in a little bit when we talk about all of the permissioning that you can do with a MCP server. For now, let's go ahead and get it connected into Claude Code and into Claude, and we'll just kind of walk through that process. So over here in my other window, I have Claude available, and I'm going to go to my connectors here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a new custom connector. And the process for this inside of ChatGPT is slightly different. Inside of Copilot is going to be slightly different as well, but demonstrating inside of Claude here today. So I'm just going to give this a name, and then we will paste in our URL. And that's really all we need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Oh, it's giving me an error because I actually have a test one already here. So we will just go ahead and go over to this test one. And so this is where we would be at. We would be at that we created the connection, but we haven't actually connected it yet. So now we'll go ahead and click on connect. And now in my browser, it's going to bring up this window that is from HelpSpot asking, hey, do we want to authorize Claude to connect to the HelpSpot MCP server? So we'll go ahead and authorize this and say, yes, you can connect. And then we will say to open the link. And now our HelpSpot MCP connector is connected. I can go ahead and close this browser window. And I will note just over in Claude here, most harnesses are going to give you a tool like this. You can see that there are all of these tools listed here, and we've actually split them out into read-only tools and write tools. And so this is going to control this is one way to control what your agent can do. And you can see that it's defaulted to on all of the read-only tools, which are things like getting requests, getting books, listing custom fields, doing all those kinds of things. It's going to just always allow the agent to do all of those actions. And then the default is for any writing or deleting tools. So things like creating requests, creating knowledge base books, anything like that, it's going to ask for approval for any of those. So when I'm actually working with my agent, it will pop up a dialog that will ask me, hey, do you want me to actually allow me to create this request, create this update, that type of thing. You could go ahead and change that. And if there are particular things that you don't want your agent to ever try to do, you can just block it right here inside of Claude. Now, we can also control the permissions here in HelpSpot. We'll talk about that a little bit more in just a little bit. But at this point, I'm connected. So that's really all there is to it, is just you put in the URL, go through the authentication flow, and now I am connected. So I'm going to go ahead in my Claude workspace here and go back to my prompt. All right, so we did have one question quickly about yeah, if you can use this in the context of Copilot. So Microsoft's model of using MCP servers is slightly different. I believe it has to be added kind of at an organization level using, I'm trying to remember the name of it. I believe it is it's something along the lines of Copilot workflows or something along those lines. But yes, that is possible. But the setup process is going to be slightly different inside of Copilot and depend specifically on the type of Copilot license that you have as well. So hopefully that's somewhat helpful. Definitely, if you're looking at wanting to integrate it into your Copilot environment, we can work with you on figuring out how to get that connected for sure. All right, so I have my Claude connected to Copilot MCP or to Copilot, excuse me, to HelpSpot MCP at this point. So now my default chat box with Claude will be able to know about what HelpSpot has inside of it. So let's go ahead and just try that out quick and just run a sample prompt here and let's see what it does and what that looks like. So I'm just going to go ahead and ask it, say, hey, look at my all open filter here, which has 160 requests. That's kind of overwhelming. And give me a summary of what's in the queue and tell me what to tackle first, right? So we're going to go ahead and send this off. And we'll be able to kind of see the process that it does. So first it goes off and finds, I have some tools here for HelpSpot. And so it's going to find that all open filters ID. So then it's getting the filter results here. And now it's going to start cataloging everything for us. And this is always the fun part of AI demos, is that we never know exactly how long it's going to take. So we just get to wait for a moment here. One thing I will note is that you'll see here that the MCP server, the first time it tried to grab the filter, it only grabbed the first 100 requests and then went back and got the other 60 requests. We've designed the MCP server with our beta testers to handle large numbers of tickets for doing analysis across a large number of tickets at once. So all of the tools that the MCP server makes available have paging available. So the agent knows that it can grab page after page of requests and analyze them by paging through them. All right, so we've gotten our results here at this point, and we can see that it has divided things into themes for me, which is very handy. So it kind of tells me, hey, we have a lot of money and transaction issues here, and then fair number of marketplace and seller side issues, and then going down from there. But then it's also went through and looked at the requests and found ones that were the most critical right now. So, for instance, here, request number 9, the account was hacked and had a unauthorized order on it. That we should get taken care of right away. It also identified some health and safety items for us and a counterfeit goods one. It says, oh, those ones are probably, all of the highest priority ones. And then it prioritized some other ones here for us as well. And we could, of course, instruct the agent to prioritize these in different ways, tell it that, oh, this type of issue is going to be the highest priority. But right from here, we can actually start acting on these tickets as well. So first off, we could just go over and start manually editing them, but maybe I know some stuff that needs to happen. So, for instance, if I go ahead and look in my staff directory here, maybe I know that Marcus is the person who should handle any kind of account being hacked thing. So I can just tell the agent in plain language there to go ahead and make that update to assign it over to Marcus. And here we can see that prompt that I was talking about previously. So um, Claude wants to use the update request tool. I've told it to ask me before it ever uses that tool. So I have two options here. I could always allow it. I can allow it once, or I can deny the usage as well. In this case, I want to allow it, but I'm just going to allow it once so that it keeps prompting me before we make updates to requests. All right. So it generates a link for me here over to this request. And we can see that the assignment has been changed over to Marcus because he's the one that should be handling this. Now, one thing I'll note is that when we made that update, it's showing up as my user account making that update. So whenever the MCP server makes an update on your behalf, it is actually doing it on your behalf, and it's going to show up as an update from you because you're the person responsible for approving that update. Okay, yeah. So we had another question of how we recommend preparing data for AI agents from a privacy perspective. Often it's needed to anonymize requests first. So yeah, so if you're looking at wanting to anonymize data before your agent of choice sees it, if you don't have a data processing agreement or whatever with your given harness, then you would probably not want to use the MCP tool because the MCP tool acts in the same way as a staff member does. So it is going to see all of the data in the request. And so if you need to pre-process data beforehand, then you're probably looking more at using the HelpSpot API to pull the data in, anonymize it, and then feed it to your LLM or your agent of choice. So yeah, that's kind of the delineating line, kind of like what I was just talking about here. Whenever you're utilizing the MCP server, it is acting as you because you're the person who has authenticated it, and you're the person operating the harness here. So hopefully that helps. All right, so we just made a single update there. We can also definitely make multiple updates at once. So for instance, let's look at maybe for any health and safety items, those should all go in a particular category. So I'm going to say those should all go in product quality. So I can do something like this. And the MCP server will be able to batch through all of those issues and update each of them. So we can see here it's aware of the categories, so it can go ahead and list those out. All right. So here it's brought up, hey, are you sure you want to do this? So um, it's saying, hey, I'd move these. And then there's one here that is kind of borderline, and it is going to ask me here first. It's like actually a wrong item issue. So should I move that one or not? So I'm just going to tell it to move the 5 core ones. So you can see part of the power here is that it is able to actually read through each of the requests and understand what each of the requests is about. I'm going to choose always allow this time. And it's able to flag things like this for me, that something like just a deterministic rule isn't necessarily going to flag if I'm just going through and creating a filter and doing something like that to reassign requests. All right, so those are all done, and those are all reassigned to the appropriate category. All right, so we can also do aggregate request data collection as well. So for instance, maybe we want to create a chart and get some analysis on where we're seeing the most issues. So we'll do something like this. So we'll break down open requests by category and chart it and see where we're getting the most problems. One thing that I'll note with this reporting, this is a pretty simplistic report that we're doing here that you could definitely do inside of the reports area as well. Um, but you can do finer detailed reports. So you can like have it dig into a category and then, yeah, look at the actual history of each request and pull out trends on why specific issues are happening, all sorts of things like that. I've been actually doing that internally here at HelpSpot to identify where you all as HelpSpot users have trouble the most and where we can improve UI and that kind of thing inside of HelpSpot to make certain processes easier. All right. So here we can see it's built out this nice graph for me. I get how many requests are open in total, how many categories there are, and then I get my breakdown graph here. Um, and then it's going to give me a little bit of narrative outline, a report on what it found. So yeah, um, I don't really have a most hit problem area right now. There's 160 requests open, and they're spread pretty evenly across 21 different categories. Um, so the highest outlier though is that product quality category because I just reassigned some requests into that one. So that one is probably the one that we should look at first. So um, you can get all kinds of different interesting data out of your HelpSpot data by using the report building tools that we've made available through the MCP server. All right, so one other thing that I want to talk about quickly is the knowledge books tool. So the knowledge books tool, I find I can use it in two different ways. First off, if I just have pre-existing knowledge stored in my knowledge books tool, it's very easy to um, have the HelpSpot MCP server look up information. So like if I just need to find our return policy, I can just do like um, after that, find our return policy. But in addition to this, you can go a step further. And if you're, say, working on a request, you can ask the agent to find relevant knowledge base articles for this issue. So, for instance, let's go ahead and pull up a request here. Let's just find one. All right, yeah. So here's someone asking about restricted items here. So I can start a new chat and say, look at this request. Find any relevant themes such as. And so what the agent is going to do is it's going to go out, look at the request first, figure out what the request is about, and then it's going to go out, search the knowledge books now, and find any relevant knowledge base articles that might be helpful. All right. So you can see here that it's actually giving me two options. One is like, hey, I can help you answer this customer here. Or also, if you're trying to fill a gap in the KBs, I can help you draft a restricted and prohibited products page. So that's another thing that we can do with the KB tools. We can actually draft that page. Okay, and we'll give it some requirements here to draft that page. And knowledge book creation is another area too where it can be super helpful to bring in other MCP servers. So say you have a MCP server that's connected to your docs repository or something like that. You can use the agent as a connection to bring those docs over into your knowledge books or even to answer requests directly from other knowledge sources that you have as well. All right, so there we go. It's gone ahead and made my draft. And you can see here, it didn't figure out that it has a writing tool. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it to create the page. Here again, we can see because I'm doing a creation action, I have to choose to allow this. So I'm going to allow it to create this specific page. All right, so it went ahead and created that page. We can go over here and view it. So we've gone ahead and created a page like that. All right. So that's a little bit about the HelpSpot MCP server. I do want to talk for just another minute or two about permissions, and then we'll get to all of your questions. So if I go back to the settings area for the MCP server, we talked about going ahead and enabling the MCP server and allowing it to specific agents. But we kind of skipped over this available tools area. So this is a good place that you can check and see all that the HelpSpot MCP server can do, first off. But you can also turn off specific features that you maybe don't want. So let's say maybe you don't want to do any request updating whatsoever. You only want to just work with knowledge books for the time being. You maybe want to, view requests, but you don't want to actually update them. So what I can do is inside of the MCP server here, I can uncheck the update request tool and the create request tool. And then after I save this, the agent will no longer be able to create or update requests. Even if it tries to, it won't be able to. So you can definitely control inside of here how far you want to go with allowing the MCP to do different things. You can also, you'll notice that we have this option here for create private request tool and create request tool. We have this option specifically for maybe you want to only allow the drafting of replies to customers if you're using the MCP server for something like drafting replies. You can go ahead and check the private options. And then the only thing that the agent will be able to do on request at that point is make private drafts. It won't actually be able to send anything to the customer. So that's a nice mode to run in if you're just kind of experimenting with things and wanting to see how much it can do before you actually commit to making any public updates to the customer. All right. So yeah, let's go ahead and dive into your questions. First one was it would be great to have an option for this chat within HelpSpot. Yes, that is kind of a little bit different mode than what the MCP server is intended for. It's MCP server is intended kind of for integrating with other workflows and that kind of thing. That's something that I meant to mention as well is you could definitely, with something like Claude Cowork or that kind of thing, I've set up scheduled uses of the MCP server. So every morning when I come in, I get a summary of everything in my queue and everything in the inbox that came in overnight. So I get a summary every morning that's broken out nicely for me, how I want to view it. So you can definitely use it for that type of thing as well. But having a built-in chat option within HelpSpot is something that we are definitely looking at. As of today, right now, when you are inside a request, you do have the Composer chat box, which does allow you to do a subset of what the MCP server can do. Doesn't allow you to do the cross-request analysis and all of that type of thing, but it does allow you to work with composing based on knowledge books and that type of thing right within the Quest interface. But definitely something that we're looking at for kind of the next stage of what we're rolling out as far as AI tooling. Okay, and then there was a follow-up about anonymizing data. So yes, the MCP integration always exposes the raw HelpSpot data to the LLM. Yes, that is sure. Yeah, so that is the way that it works. So you would need to pre-process data before you're sending it off to an LLM if that's a requirement. So yes, I think you are on the right track on that. Now, as we were noting, you might have some uses for the MCP that might be not include customer information. And so you might just enable a subset of tools. So if I go back into the tools here, you could utilize all of these knowledge book tools, of course, without exposing any customer data. And even the aggregate request history tool, and aggregate request tools, um, those could probably be used without exposing customer data, because those are just going to give you counts of, and they're used for answering questions like, how many requests are in this category, who has the most requests open right now, those types of things. You could utilize. But when you get into the actual get request tools and those types of things, those are going to include that customer data. Okay, yep. And then another question, if you ask an AI agent to draft a reply based on similar past tickets, um, how will it find the related conversations? Will it do semantic search or keyword search, or what does it do? So yeah, so inside of the MCP server, if you're doing this all inside of the MCP server, it will go ahead and use the search requests tool, which is doing a full text search, and it's able to actually filter also by like category and custom fields and those kind of things. So it's going to come up with the search terms to search by, and then search based on those. And that's kind of actually the state of the art, versus semantic search, like a RAG based search. Um, as far as you're allowing the LLM horsepower to actually do the search and identify the search terms that it should use, and then return relevant results for you. And so that's a really effective way of getting relevant past requests, is letting the LLM, giving the LLM the search tool and letting it go to town on running the searches that it needs. All right. Other questions at this point? All right. If there aren't any other questions, just want to leave you with today that as you're playing around with this, happy to help you out with specific, use cases as you try to use it in different ways. We're definitely open to feedback of if there are other tools that we need to make available. Um, we know that our customer base is extremely resourceful, and they will find all different ways to use the data inside of HelpSpot. So we had a great beta period of testing out this tool, where we got a lot of customer feedback and added several extra tools that weren't available initially. So we're definitely open to doing that in the future. Um, you can feel free to reach out to us just through our support site at support.helpspot.com. Just submit a request right through there. And then I will note as well, if you're looking to review any of this, if you go to our API manual, there is now a MCP server area that has tutorial videos and some walkthroughs on connecting various agents and that kind of thing. And like I mentioned at the top, we will be continuing to expand that as well. But thank you all for your time today. I hope this was helpful to you all, and excited to see what you all build using the new MCP server integration. Thanks a lot.